Hello everyone and welcome back to the RMTV Women's Podcast. Today me and Amy are joined by our lovely friend Emma Sanders. Emma, how are you this fine Tuesday evening?
Yeah, good. I've got some emergency lighting so that you can actually see me, because when I last went on Zoom and decided to go live on TV, I basically looked like somebody out of a scary movie. It was quite horrifying. So yeah.
I feel like I needed that story to progress with my life.
I remember seeing
I knew it.
And you're like, I
remember seeing that and being like, yeah, it does.
It does. How are you, Amy? How's your day been?
Oh, you're getting by now.
Nice and positive.
I've actually gotten to the stage where I think of life and like lockdown as every second is 1 second closer to being out of lockdown. People say like every day is 1 day closer. Like every second now is 1 second closer. Do you know what I mean?
You literally just like got closer by talking about how every second
exactly.
was closer.
If I could talk about lockdown now until end of lockdown, and throughout that process I'd be getting closer.
Wow.
I'm not going to, but swings and roundabouts.
How are you, Lauren?
I'm fine. I'm in a great mood, to be honest with you, considering it's 7:20, but don't know what it was. Might have been the coffee I had about 20 minutes before I filmed this, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I'm doing all right. We've got a handful of topics to discuss on today's podcast. I think the main one that is very much the talking point in women's football at the minute is obviously the new broadcast deal that was announced yesterday morning. Yous have both done bits and pieces on it. Obviously Amy did the video that went up yesterday, and Emma, you've had all your articles. I'm sure everyone's bombarded you with all kinds of questions about it, but I'm going to ask you again, and I want your honest opinion on it. But yeah, for those who don't know, a groundbreaking deal has been made for WSL matches and some championship matches to be played via Sky Sports and the BBC, which is really exciting. Obviously, two huge broadcaster names in sports in general. So that means more than 50 women's matches from next season will be live on TV for viewers to watch. I think the most exciting thing, and one of the first things that I thought about when I first seen it, was like just how accessible it's going to be for a lot more people now. And obviously we've all like experienced the struggles of trying to watch games this season, especially with us being in the championship and not loads being on display. But to have more than 50 women's matches be live on TV for supporters to watch next season is amazing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. I mean, it's funny when you said you wanted my honest opinion, because you do realise that like one of these people are my employers, so even if I didn't like it, I couldn't really tell you. No, obviously it is amazing, but I think the main thing for me is that you 22 of those games are going to be on the BBC, so they're free to air. So, and at least 18 of them are going to be on BBC One and BBC Two. That's the first time in the competition's history that any of them are going to be on free to air main channels, network channels. And obviously, I think it's something like, I think it was the mid 1980s, the last time that any top flight domestic football was shown on main channels, free to air in the UK. So that itself is just amazing, because we saw peak figures from the 2019 World Cup. We saw record figures for the England World Cup semi-finals, defeat to USA as well. And I think FIFA, in a report, FIFA said that the 2019 World Cup was like one of the most watched sports events in women's sport history. So off the back of that, to then obviously go into a global pandemic, and there was a lot of fear of sort of losing that momentum and losing that potential interest from broadcasters. For those broadcasters to then kind of show that interest and show that faith in the women's game during such a difficult time is what it is now, where every women's team in the country has made losses. Women's sport has suffered massively in the global pandemic. And yet you've got broadcasters coming together now and saying, we see a massive future for this sport, and we're going to invest, groundbreaking money. Like, it's between 7 to 8 million per season from Sky Sports. There's reports that the NWSL is only about 1.5 million per season. So yeah, that's just incredible. And so in terms of women's domestic sport globally, the FA believe it is significantly higher than a lot of them, and it is definitely up there as one of the most commercially sort of valuable broadcast agreements. And then in terms of the amount of people watching, like you say, the exposure for it, the FA believe it's going to be quite some way the most watched sports women's league in the world. So it's just so exciting. Like, I just can't wait. And then obviously, you've got all the ones on Sky, and what I love about Sky Sports coverage is that they do real analysis and real build up, and that's something that they've always committed. Whenever they do something, they do it properly. They never sort of do anything half-heartedly. So that the coverage that they're going to give is going to bring so much with it. You're going to get all of the build up and all of the analysis and all of the experts involved, and when you get people talking about the actual football itself and the tactical side of the football rather than the wider themes around the football, which are also important, but to have that talk about the tactical side of it is something that the women's game's never seen. So that's one of the things that really excites me.
Yeah. Amy, Emma Hayes has said that, when asked about it, she labelled it as a celebration of women's football. Would you kind of, agree with that statement? What was your thoughts on that statement? How did it make you feel when you first sort of seen it?
Oh, 100%. I think the way I see it, like, whenever anyone would ask me, or I would ask that question to anyone who watches women's football, what is the one thing that we can change to make it so that, what is the one thing we can do to grow women's football? And 9 times out of 10, the reply was more media coverage, more coverage on mainstream channels, more coverage on areas where most of sport happens. And then this is now the response. This is exactly what people have been asking for a few years now, especially since the World Cup, since the coverage that was shown there. This is actual proof of what from my view, what most people say is a solution to grow the sport at an ultimate level. So it is a celebration of women's football. I think it's something that's been coming for a while, and something that I think needs to happen in order to really try and push the growth even further. I mean, the FA player, I know it still will be used, but it's served its purpose. I think it's probably given insight into how many people actually watch these games online, and obviously Sky and BBC will have taken that information and assessed it on how they can probably build upon that. But this is now something where you can switch on the TV, you can switch on Sky Sports or BBC, and you will see women's football on there, which to me is it is what Emma Hayes says, an absolute celebration of women's football. And it's amazing that we've been able to get to this point.
Yeah, I think Susie Rack sort of summed it up perfectly, really. She said, this is like a kind of perfect response to people who say, oh, no one cares about women's football. And it's like, well, now you can turn around and say, well, how come 2 of the biggest platforms in sports want to showcase over 50 games for the next 3 years now? So I think she summed it up perfectly there by saying that, because I think that's a lot of criticism that the game receives, is that, well, you don't get that much attendance, many people don't watch it, blah, blah, blah. But now they kind of don't really have a leg to stand on with that, because you've got 2 of the biggest sports channels wanting to show the games live every weekend.
Yeah, I think the word she used was vindication, wasn't it? And she actually asked Emma Hayes about that in Monday's press conference, and she used that as that word. And I don't want to quote Emma's response because I can't remember it, but Emma sort of agreed with her, and that was where that quote that you referenced before came from, was in response to that question from Susie. And I couldn't agree more. I think it sums it up perfectly, and I think it's just not only that, I think it's a celebration of everybody involved in the game as well, and the work that they've put in, and the Football Association as well, and Kelly Simmons in particular, the director of the women's professional game. I think she deserves a lot of praise, because the FA have worked really hard to put this together. So, you know, we like to criticise them, rightly so, when they deserve to be criticised, but I think it's only right that we should praise them for the hard work that they've done to get this over the line, because it really is, it really is massive for the game.
I feel like also it's like the fact that 25% of whatever revenue generated goes to the championship is also huge. I mean, I think I tweeted about this yesterday, the fact that you still have players within the championship that have 2 jobs, and that money can then be contributed to their wages or whatever. So then that means that they can spend their full time on football, which ultimately, when you're in the championship, you would want to be doing that anyways. I know half the teams aren't fully pro, but then even then that gives them more reason and more ability to maybe even go pro, and then you set the standard of the championship even higher. So we might even get to a stage where most of the championship games are then streamed, like happens in the men's. That would be an unbelievable achievement, but I think that's a really nice touch to have. I don't know how many championship games are going to be put across either of the channels. I'm not too sure if that information's come out yet. But even though a massive 25% going to the all like split between those 11 clubs, I think it's just a really nice touch as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, in terms of the actual TV picks, like, we don't even know how many WSL games are going to be on, because like Sky's agreement, I think it's 35 minimum off the top of my head, and it's up to 44. So, you know, let's say there's a relegation battle or a top of the table sort of battle still in the last maybe 2 weeks. They might choose to do what they've done in the past on Premier League, where they have like maybe 3 games being played or shown simultaneously on, you know, on their main channel, the Premier League channel and the football channel. Like, how incredible would that be if it came down to like final day of the WSL season and you've got 3 games all played out on the same day on the main channels? That would just be amazing. So,
I don't think I have enough TV screens to be able to watch that.
I know, I'll be going into the office. I've got important work to do.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully I'll be covering it.
One thing I thought about when you mentioned Emma about like analysis and stuff like that is like, it made me think about it when they do like Monday Night Football and they have like the bit at the start where they pick out certain aspects of a team or a player and discuss it, and then they do the same at the end. Like, how amazing would it be to see whoever's doing the punditry or whatnot for that game be able to highlight a player from a women's game and say, well, this is what they do well, and pick these points out. And like, I in my head, I wouldn't have thought that would happen from next season for a women's team. I knew it eventually would happen, but I didn't think it was going to be this soon. Don't know whether you both feel the same about that.
No, like, absolutely, and that's what I said before. Like, that's what excites me the most, is that I think obviously the investment, the broadcast, you know, the wider exposure, I think that was, like you say, kind of inevitable that was going to come at some point. I don't think anyone was expecting the level of, you know, investment that has gone in and how big this is. I don't think anyone was expecting that, but I think it would have been fair to say off the back of 2019 that we, as particularly in the media, were excited by the figures that came out after that, and we thought, yeah, you know, that there's going to be something off the back of this. But it is that kind of analysis side of it that really excites me. And I hope it kind of pushes the BBC as well in terms of their highlights show. You know, at the moment, I think it's only half an hour and it's on quite late at night, and it's essentially just a highlight show and not really any analysis. So you kind of see the goals and maybe a couple of like really, really like near misses, but not really much else. Like, I'd love to see like, you know, some real analysis done on that kind of match of the day style alongside, you know, obviously, you know, the kind of Monday Night Football that you get on Sky Sports. Like, already in my head, I'm picturing Ian Wright sat down analysing like Miedemar, and just like,
amazing.
I just think I just think the scope for it is so good. So that is by far the thing that excites me the most in all of this. Obviously, aside from the fact that there's a hell of a lot of money going into the game, which is just going to improve it.
Yeah. Also, like, when you think about it, the amount of new faces as well, the amount of new voices that will be able to have a platform to speak about it on as well. I think that's also like a really exciting part. Think of all the people that are going to have to be presenters, like you see on Sky Sports now. There's so many different people that contribute to it, in terms of whether that's running it or whether that's actually being on screen. So the amount of new sort of jobs that there will be for loads of people that have maybe either already worked in women's football or looking to join it, that's also a giant positive.
Yeah, definitely. I need to work on my TV skills, I think.
I think also just like new faces for like players wise as well, it'll be a huge thing, because there'll be a lot of overseas players as well looking at that deal, because obviously you've already seen the pull that the WSL has, and it doesn't even have Sky Sports and BBC and all that stuff this season. So I imagine next season the pull that I'll have for players overseas, but well, I want to go and play in that league, because that's going to be the biggest league that's going to be in women's sports right now. So it's exciting both on and off the pitch, really, isn't it? But one exciting thing that me and Amy did over the weekend was had a nice chat with former Liverpool manager Vicki Jepson. We haven't spoken to her in ages, obviously, so it was really nice to sit down and chat about her time at Liverpool and whatnot. Here's a clip now all about Vicki Jepson's time at Liverpool.
The obvious place to start would be your sort of journey with Liverpool and all things that. How, obviously 12 years being at the club, how do you sort of reflect on that? I mean, you must have some amazing stories to tell, met some amazing people. How has that journey been for you?
Reflecting, especially over, time that you've spent somewhere for over a decade, it's I'm still reflecting now, if I'm honest, but I've done a lot of reflecting with my mentor, looking at the highs, looking at the lows, looking at the challenges. I'm just so grateful for my journey, really. I grew up at Liverpool, big Liverpool fan as well from a little girl, so the journey's been surreal, and I've had some surreal moments, which you two will have been a part of, which is great why I'm chatting to you two today. But I've worked at every strand in our women's section, which is a unique position to be in, because you get a real understanding of what it takes to be the next Niamh Charles, that's sacrificed so much time training in the evening, studying in the day, going away on international duty. I've worked in the international setup as well, so I've had experience of seeing girls prepping for playing Italy in a semi-final, and then also that morning prepping for their GCSEs away from home in Lithuania. So the journey's been incredible. Working across the youth section was something that I was passionate about, certainly at Liverpool, developing players to play on that WSL platform, and I think that's one of the highlights, is seeing players progress. And I think I'm the only WSL manager that has worked with an 8-year-old and then signed them at the senior squad whilst being at the same club. So that's been an honour, and that's been something that I've been privileged to do.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that interview with Vicki Jepson. It'll be linked above so that you can go and watch it if you haven't already. We'll move on. We'll stay within Liverpool then, and obviously me and Amy had a big fangirl over Ceri Holland, probably in the last 3 or 4 podcasts maybe.
Pretty much.
But she's been named Championship Player of the Month, which is really nice. I don't think we've had a Liverpool player for a long time, or maybe, I don't know, I couldn't even tell you who the last one was who was named Championship.
Fernie won at the beginning of the season, didn't she?
Yeah, Fernie's definitely got it. We've had a couple of people involved in Team of the Week and stuff like that, but yeah. Ceri Holland has been named Player of the Month. She's just been great, hasn't she, really? She's just been so good for us. Like I said, me and Amy have had our fangirl over us, but I don't think we've had
Yeah, it's getting a bit weird now. I think we should probably stop. It's getting a bit strange.
You'd be like, are these talking about me again?
I mean, we won't even get to the private conversations of messages that I've had from you about Ceri, so.
Oh my.
What?
Anyway. I think I don't think we should even say it anymore.
That's not right.
No, she's She's just boss, isn't she? She has been so good since she came. Yeah. I think it's deserved. Like I think she's given something else to the midfield that we perhaps didn't have before, where you had like somebody who can actually like play kind of box to box. Like she's just so powerful, isn't she? So she's just been boss.
She does have lungs of steel.
Yeah, she just runs, does she?
Like he just runs all the time. I mean, I know that's the concept of like football and like running, but I mean, the work, not like even when she's got the ball, but like off the ball as well. You can see how much effort she's putting in. I think I've definitely said this before, but I think it's been nice that we didn't necessarily have any type of expectation when she first signed, but it's been really nice because she's absolutely blown them out of the park and really impressed us. And I think she's just been a really refreshing element to the side who was struggling, especially since obviously that defeat to Durham before the game, Jepson departure and then losing to Leicester as well. She came in at a good time to sort of pick the team back up again. So I think she's been a massive difference as to why Liverpool's form has been so good of recent times.
Yeah, I think kind of maybe because she didn't, no one really had any expectations of her when she came in. She kind of hasn't come in that under pressure maybe. So that's probably contributed to like her just being like, well, I'm just gonna go and play the best that I possibly can. So yeah, I think that probably is a good factor in how she's been performing recently. But it's kind of annoying because you wish that this form for Liverpool would have came maybe just before Christmas, that, you know, kind of would give us that little bit of more of a boost earlier on in the season rather than, you know, now when promotion isn't really a thing for us anymore.
But it's a tough one though, isn't it? Because it's like, obviously, like they've done really, really well recently, but they've also played opposition that you'd expect Liverpool to beat. Do you know what I mean? So it's a difficult one, and then also the fact that they haven't got the pressure on them, that is going to make it easier to play. So it's kind of like we still don't really know whether they can perform to those levels while under that pressure that's needed. So it's still difficult, isn't it, to know kind of where Liverpool are at. I think towards the end of the season when I think they've got, is it Sheffield United either last game or penultimate game of the season? It'll be interesting. Yeah, that game will be interesting because that might be like a bit more of a kind of a barometer. But yeah, I feel like next season will probably be the kind of the time to really see what this team is like now, and obviously how Ceri fits into that, and and obviously hopefully a few new signings, and inevitably whenever there's managerial changes, there's usually one or two players that leave as well. So I think it will be a slightly different team next season. But yeah, and that's not obviously not to play down how well they've been playing, because they have done so well and the form has been really good, and it's just been really exciting to see like that kind of refreshing performances and like mentality. But like I say, I think it's easier to do that when the pressure's off you and you've essentially kind of not really got anything to play for now. So yeah, that's my only sort of like take back on it, really.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy for people to like gloss over everything after you've had a succession of like good performances. I think that obviously the issues are still there somewhere, because we haven't played like this all season, so there's obviously something that's been off with us. And with the fact that Amber isn't the long-term replacement, and I think that's been made very clear, there is like this sort of like honeymoon phase of her involved. So I feel like everyone's okay at the moment, but like as soon as we lose a game again, it will just set everything back off again. So I feel like you do sort of have to stay a bit like grounded about the whole situation. But I mean, you can't say it's a bad thing at all. I mean,
no, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's it. Like you kind of hit the nail on the head. Is like you can praise the performances and get excited about the fact that like the Liverpool team that we know is
so
there.
we're not losing.
Yeah, exactly. Like that they've come out and they've actually, played some really good football. It's like we know that the players that are in that squad are not bad players, and they've shown that. So we know that the quality is still there. It's just, like I said, it's very difficult when you're playing sort of with respect, but part-time teams like Coventry and obviously Blackburn, who Liverpool should be winning quite comfortably, and then a London B side who were also without a manager near the bottom of the table. I think they might have been bottom when Liverpool played them, and then I think it's like I think it's the teams more like the Leicesters, the Durhams, the Sheffield United and the Lewis that you really want to be sort of seeing where Liverpool are at with. So
Am I right by saying we drew against Blackburn in the reverse fixture earlier this season? I want to say I definitely don't think we won. I think we had a draw.
I think it was it that 0-0 game where everyone had 1-1 and everyone had we had about 15 chances.
Was that not Lewis?
No, I feel like that was Blackburn.
I'm pretty sure. Either way, it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend, because obviously we play Blackburn at home and see what the differences are, because we should be beating Blackburn. I think that's pretty obviously with the calibre of our players. So I see what you mean, like the testing yourself against the top, the higher up table teams. But then it'll be interesting this weekend to see as well, knowing that we only drew against them last time. If we then better that result again, that'll be quite interesting to see.
Definitely.
True, very true. Champions League's back this week. Obviously, we've got two English teams left in the competition, City and Chelsea. But some other, I'm excited. I'm actually really excited about PSG versus Lyon as well. I think that'll be a really good match.
I feel so sorry for PSG. They always get lumped with Lyon.
They do. They do. But
it's like you getting lumped with the drunkest person on a night out.
All the time. You're always you're always a designated person to look after someone, and you're just like, again. But obviously Man City played Barcelona. I think that'll be a really, really good game between them two. I think I'm definitely going to tune into that one, because obviously City are flying at the minute, Barcelona, obviously Barcelona. And then obviously Chelsea play Wolfsburg as well. I've just got this feeling, I think I said it last week or the week before, I've just got this feeling that Chelsea are going to do it,
I thought you were going to break out into that Justin Timberlake.
So did I.
I
went Black Eyed Peas then. Which one are you on about?
Can't stop the feeling.
Oh, okay. No.
I thought you were going to rock out into it. I was like expecting it and it never came, and I got a little bit disappointed. But
Lauren's going all like, I got a feeling.
I went old school.
Got a feeling. Yeah, no, that's a good way to go. I'm glad you went down that way. Celebration of ideas there.
No, but like seriously, like I can't look past Chelsea for some reason this season. I think they've just got this really. I just think there's a really good squad, and they're in like a really good moment right now. And I think they all just want to win that Champions League, and I think they have for like a couple of seasons now. And for some reason, I just think this season's going to be it.
Yeah, I mean, Emma Hayes has made no secret of the fact that she wants to win the Champions League. She's essentially recruited her squad to win the Champions League. That's what it's been about for the last 2-3 years, is getting investment, getting recruitment, getting the team to a level where they can compete with Lyon, essentially. And it's been the same kind of with Manchester City as well. And I think they've both helped each other domestically in terms of providing an extremely strong challenge domestically. So they've pushed themselves on to the point where it would be hard to argue anyone who says Manchester City could win it. But I mean, when the draw came out, and so we had the Manchester City press conference today, only a couple of hours ago actually, and we asked Gareth Taylor about it, and he said, look, there's easier routes to the final, but at the end of the day, when you get to the quarterfinal stage, like you've got to play the best teams anyway to win the competition. So, but they've got to play Barcelona, who are obviously finalists in 2019, and then they've got either Lyon, PSG, or I think it's No, I can't remember who the third one is that City could face in the semi-final. But anyway, they've got to face the two 2019 finalists potentially, just to make the final. And then, Chelsea would obviously, you'd assume that it'll probably be Bayern. I think it's Bayern or Rosenborg that Chelsea would face if they beat Wolfsburg in the semi-final. So the City half of the draw on paper is much harder, which is also why I think I'm going for Chelsea. But I would just, how amazing would it be to see a City Chelsea final in the Champions League? That would just be incredible.
That would be.
I feel like we've gone to the stage now as well where people actually fear the English teams as well. I mean, all those teams will not want to come up against City or Chelsea, which probably says a lot for English football.
Yeah, I agree with that. And actually, when you not mean to put a downer on it, but I kind of disagree with Barcelona City being a good game. So I actually think City will win it quite comfortably. And that's no disrespect to Barcelona. They're unbeaten domestically. They've not lost a game in Europe either. But I just think the way that Man City have been playing recently, the form that they're in, and just the general standard of the matches that they've had to play recently in the WSL, I just think Barcelona will really struggle. City were absolutely ruthless in the last 16 against Fiorentina. Obviously won 8-0, I think, on aggregate. And that it's like, obviously it got announced a few hours ago that they're going to be missing Steph Houghton for the first leg, and they're bringing in a World Cup winner as her replacement. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it is a really good match, and I hope it is really competitive. But I actually think City will just be far too good for Barcelona.
Yeah. Sam Hewitt masterclass incoming, isn't it? Really, let's be honest.
Oh, the Tower of Power. I think me and Sam Hewitt are alike in that way. I mean, she's definitely built a lot more than me. I resemble chicken. Pardon?
She's probably better at football.
No, yeah, she's definitely better at football. Better built, better at football. So really, the only thing we have going that is similar is probably our height.
And I think she's taller.
I'm the Tower of Scrawny. That's what I am.
She's basically the rubbish
that's
version
now
of
on the
Bernie,
internet.
isn't she?
That's getting clipped.
That's on the internet forever.
That's your name. Your name's not going to come up Amy Lund. It's going to come up Tower of Scrawny.
Tower of Scrawny.
Tower of Lanky. That was even better.
No, Tower of Scrawny. But yeah, Sam Hewitt is she's basically a knockoff version of Fernie, though, isn't she?
Yeah. Absolutely. She's not as good a head as Fernie.
Nowhere near.
Nowhere near.
Who do you think would win in a fight against Sam Hewitt and Fernie?
Fernie all day long.
I reckon Fernie's proper scrappy, me.
Yeah, definitely.
You put her in a fight, she's winning. She's
going ham, isn't she?
Yeah, she's going all out, no doubt about it.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Who wins?
I'm going to ask her. I'm going to send her a DM and say, who do you think's going to win? Who would you or Sam?
Ask her what she thinks of Amy's new name.
Yeah, and it'll be like you can no longer send messages to this person.
Unfollow.
Oh
no.
Oh
dear.
Yeah.
Anyways, fun.
That was fun. I enjoyed that podcast, guys. It was a good chat.
Good, me too. Thanks for having me on.
We didn't point it out at the start, but we are all wearing red, and it wasn't planned.
Well, it was because I had to go on and change my top.
Emma, that was all you. We didn't say anything. That was your choice.
Well, you said. I know. Oh no, actually, to be fair,
I said, oh no, you said, oh, I'm just gonna get changed, and I was like, you better not. You better be wearing red because we all are, like, as a joke, and you took it seriously.
Oh yeah. If you're gonna tell me that I'm gonna be the odd one out, then I was actually stressing. Like, I was in the spare room, like, I need to find a red top, and then it's a different shade. And I was like,
we're all different shades, to be honest.
We're all different shades, yeah. Well, that's fine.
Right. Fine.
No.
Right.
I'm just happy that, I managed to get changed and I found a red top. So
exactly.
I'm genuinely happy for you.
It made
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there then, guys. Thank you very much for watching today's podcast. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. Like we said earlier, go over, watch our interview with Vicki Jepson. Used to just me out. Yeah, go and watch our interview with Vicki Jepson. You can watch Amy's roundup video of the new WSL TV deal as well. They'll all be linked above. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time with a new video. Bye.
Bye.